The truth, when we speak about the capital T truth, is existence. It's consciousness. It's divinity. It's soul. It's spirit. Now, is that dependent upon us perceiving it? No. And one of the ways to know this, I'm a scientist by heart, so for me, it's always important that an answer be grounded not only in a sense of rightness and spiritual experience, but also in terms of something that makes sense. And if you think about existence or soul, spirit, divinity, requiring us to perceive it for it to exist, then it would have lots of breaks in its existence. And our scriptures date back thousands of years and are telling us the same thing. And there, of course, are people who teach that the scriptures literally had no beginning, have been eternal always, which means that the truth cannot depend upon how I'm perceiving it. Today someone is there to perceive it, tomorrow someone isn't. Well, then whatever it is, it's not eternal. It's dependent on my perception. So the highest truth, the highest reality, does not require us to be there. It's not like that Zen koan about if the tree falls in the forest and there's no one there, does it make a sound? So we're not talking about one tree, one forest, one mind puzzle. We're talking about existence. Reality, truth, does not require us. However, for us to interact with existence, for us to interact with truth, for us to interact with soul, spirit, of course requires us. For example, what is your name? Sabrina. So I can see Sabrina. If you say to me, does Sabrina exist? Absolutely. I can tell you exactly what she looks like. I can tell you a lot of things about her from a physical level. Because I can see her with my eyes. I know she exists because I see her. But if I close my eyes, if I ask her to speak and she speaks, then I still know she exists because I can hear her. But if my eyes are closed and she's not making any noise, and she doesn't have any distinct smell, or I don't have a nose that's good enough at picking up distinct smells at a distance, and she's too far for me to touch her or taste her, I have no way of interacting with her existence. Now, she didn't cease to exist because I ceased being able to interact with her existence. She didn't lose, but I lost. Our ability to interact with the world is dependent upon our perception. Now, our ability to interact with the physical world, the material world, is dependent upon our five senses. If I cannot use any of my five senses to understand someone, something in the material world, I have no way of interacting with it. I have no way of knowing that it exists. But those aren't my only means of perception. They're my only means of understanding the physical world. Like the tools of science are our only ways of measuring it. Got a beaker, got a ruler or a tape measure, got a scale, a microscope, a telescope. These are our tools of understanding the material world. It has a weight, it has a volume, it has a size. I can see it either with the naked eye or with a telescope or a microscope. But what about that which isn't of the material world? How do I know that? Well, we also have tools to know that. We also have the ability to perceive that. It's just not with our five senses. But our intuition, our heart, our inner knowing, doesn't matter what words we use for them, but we all know that we've had experiences, whether we accept and admit them or whether our intellectual scientific mind says, oh, that didn't happen, ignore it, pretend it didn't happen. Either way, I would imagine that probably everyone here at some point has had at least one experience of knowing something that you don't really have any way of knowing. You just know it. You feel it. You intuit it. You sense it. And that's essential because it is that other sense or other senses through which we are able to interact with the non-physical world. Take something as simple as love. Can't use my five senses. And yet, how tragic would it be if we couldn't interact with love? But we have to rely on some means of perception to feel it, right? I mean, what does love feel like? How do you know someone loves you? It's a great question. And of course, there's not one right answer either. But something that we would all agree on is just you feel it. And it interestingly has nothing to do with what people say. Because you could say, I love you, and I would imagine that most of us, or many of us, have been in a situation where we say, I don't know, you say that, but I'm not feeling it, right? Then there are people in our lives who maybe don't say it, maybe who are shy or who communicate in other ways, but you know it. You just know that person loves me. And you feel it. And it's beautiful, and it's essential. And love is only one of the myriad essential aspects of life that we perceive, but not through our five senses. And so it's up to us. It's not that reality or truth needs us to perceive it in order for it to exist, but we need to perceive it in order for us to actually be able to experience what we came on earth to experience, which is the truth of who we are. And that's an inner way of being evident, of knowing. So I know you because you are evident to me through my senses. But how do I know myself? What sense tells me I exist? What tells me I exist? How do I know I exist? That's what we call self-evident. Who's the self to which I am self-evident? Who's the self that knows I exist? And that's what our internal spiritual perception is. That's what this path of meditation and inquiry is about. Who am I? Not what do I feel like? Not what do I sound like? Not, oh, where's a mirror? What do I look like? Because that keeps changing. But how do I know I exist? In what way that isn't changing? And when we experience that, then we really touch self-evident. But my self exists whether I'm aware of it or not, whether I spend this life in the eat, drink, and be merry camp, whether I spend it in the he who dies with the most toys wins camp, regardless of which camp I choose to align with, my true self exists. But I need to interact with it in order to actually experience what I'm here for, to actually step up to that plate of really who I am and really why I